All right, guys, we are back again, Dynamic Man Podcast. I am just saying this out on X. All right. What is up, people? What is up? What is up? We got a Dynamic Man Podcast. We got it early today. Got an early Dynamic Man Podcast. I know it's going to be a smaller audience as a result. You guys didn't have as big of notice. You had pretty much no notice. It ain't prime time. But I want you guys to see this. I think this is important. And we're going to be doing a lot of them this weekend. We're going to be doing 2 tomorrow. Okay. So we have a Dynamic Man podcast tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. And we have another one at our usual about 5:15 time. And then Sunday, we have another one at 5:15. Monday, another one at 5:15. And then we're on COVID Cabal on Tuesday, 5:15. So busy. We're back to the broadcasting. There's just a bunch of topics I want to get into. I want to talk about here. So first things first with this. What's up, AG? What's up, my man? How you doing? And yeah, if you guys are here, as always, please leave a comment in the chat. I'm not pushing on it because I'm hitting this at irregular hours. And look, isn't this weird? I feel like I'm in like outer space. I'm at like an Airbnb. I got this like green wall behind me, and I got like really good light coming through. I just feel like I'm on this different planet. You don't have the books behind me. It's like at once really cool, really professional. On the other hand, it's just not me. I'm used to the cluttered study. But look, guys. So what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about inner work, because inner work is very, very important for men. And when I work with clients, it's one of the topics that a lot of people, even if they have a problem with women, well over half of the clients I work with, inner work is like as much, if not a bigger portion of the stuff that we deal with. I'll even go a step further and I'll say that a lot of the work that I do with men, okay, I'm a dating relationship coach, so I deal with men and their relationships with women, which is, obviously the meeting, attracting portion, the vetting and choosing, and the keeping and deepening. So like getting a girl, picking a girl, and keeping a girl, essentially. But a lot of my work, if like truth be told, and prescient guys, observant guys understand this, a lot of my work is really not so much it is about women, but women are almost a vector. So I use women to actually change the man himself. You can do this in other domains, but it's my strong suit. So that's why, like, I can do, for instance, life coaching, so to speak. I can do business coaching because I deal with the substrate of a man, essentially. But I use women, the pain that men have around women, the problem that men have around women, I use that as a vector almost to go in and to break apart the blockages in his psyche. Okay? Because women are great. Women are great for that. So, stretch. I want to talk about the 2 ways that you need to develop a healthy mind as a man. This is a little bit of a feminine and masculine balance, actually. Healing has a masculine component and a feminine component. So the masculine component is this idea of identity and becoming. So who are you? What do you want? Right? What is what is your ability to penetrate the world, to conquer in the world? Men develop a sense of power and self-esteem and self-respect based on their ability to dominate in the world. That's just a fact. That's how it is. If as a man you feel powerless, you are going to have self-esteem issues. And that's one of the reasons, aside from the fact that most therapists are really washed up women who are not particularly wise, not even necessarily particularly intelligent. They're people who just simply, they're almost like projecting a lot of their own neurosis onto situations. I'm not saying all of them are like this, of course. There's definitely some good therapists and good male and female therapists and bad ones. But an overwhelming proportion of these people are women, and they're toxic, and they're not there to help. They're there to get in your mind and insert poison in your mind. It's a little bit of a digression, but the point here is that even just the model of therapy today, let's talk about your feelings, that doesn't work with men. Doesn't work with men because your feelings as a man are not really important. I mean, I'm not saying they're not important at all, but talking about your feelings doesn't make you feel stronger. So if you don't feel stronger, you're not going to do better. You're not going to become better. You're not going to become more effective. You're not going to feel good about yourself. Men always feel better about themselves when they are conquering in life. So this identity, what do you want? What do you want out of life? Where do you derive your value? Where do you most contribute to the world? This is a very, very important piece of the puzzle. But the problem that a lot of guys face is that they're not actually able to take any proactive action. And the reason they can't take any proactive action is because their mind is at odds with themselves. So when you think about this for a second, you have the psyche, and there's multiple layers to the psyche, right? You can argue that every single, and to some extent, every single moment or age of your life is like a fractal of yourself, and your consciousness really expands like tree rings. So an integrated consciousness has all of these parts of yourself working together in cohesion. Now, how do you work together in cohesion? You have to make sure that all those different parts are getting payoff from your actions. So when you have dissonance, we talk about dissonance. What that means is that part of you wants something and the other part of you doesn't. The net result of this is things like procrastination, self-sabotage, inability to move forward, inability to be effective whatsoever, and usually a very strong sense of self-loathing, because one part of you feels berated by the other part because one part of you is slowing down progress, so to speak, from the other part. So a lot of guys who are struggling with a lot of like mental health issues is because their psyche is all fragmented to varying degrees. Everybody tends to have a little bit of this, but it might just be a little bit. But the people who are absolutely most effective, they have a completely integrated psyche or close to it because there's no internal resistance. So I use a lot of my work, internal family systems. I think it's really effective at getting these parts of the brain to talk to each other. But suffice to say, you need to get the psyche put back together. You need to acknowledge the needs of these different parts and to not view them all in opposition. Because when you talk about like operating in good faith, so we have the 3 skills of a dynamic man. You know, 3 skills are confronting fear, expanding awareness, and operating in good faith. When you're dealing with stuff here, you have the confronting fear is obviously doing the work at all, because a lot of people prefer to avoid this entire issue. They don't even want to focus on it. They're scared to even look under the hood. So they're just in denial, or they're in avoidance. They even have a problem and just keep numbing themselves. So just doing this inner work is confronting fear, because you're going to find things. It's going to mean ultimately that you're going to have to take proactive action in your life. Obviously, expanding awareness is trying to find out what's actually going on, where your problems are, learning about yourself, seeing how you work and how you don't work for that matter. But I think the good faith portion is one of the more important pieces of the puzzle, because when you're operating in good faith with yourself, what that means is that you're looking for the win-wins with yourself. So you have all these different parts of your psyche that are broken up, and maybe they want different things, but they actually on a deep level all want the same thing. They want you to survive and to thrive. They just have different ideas of how to get there. So in order to fix this problem, you have to have all of them get on the same page. And that might mean So if you have like this self-sabotaging child part that doesn't want you to go out there in the world and talk to new people because it feels like you're going to get rejected, well, trying to protect you from humiliation, trying to protect you from having a bad experience in life. Now, of course, the flip side is that this protection is stopping you from meeting friends, meeting women. It's making your life really small, which actually leads to de facto rejection that you're trying to avoid. So in order to fix this, you have to say, okay, what does this child part really want? Does it need reassurance? You have to kind of comfort it. You have to act as the parent to that child. So you have this, and then you have, once you start to get that psyche working together better, then what you have next is, okay, now you have some momentum, you're taking action, and then you're thinking about, who am I? What do I want to do? What is going to maximize my growth? What is going to maximize my sense of power? And you start to develop the will, start to develop discipline. And it's a feedback, right? Because you're going to self-sabotage if you don't have this internal piece worked out. The internal piece is the very feminine healing. The more external piece is testing yourself, challenging yourself. Each challenge that you take expands your will, expands your power level. And this applies to everything. It applies to women, but it applies to anything in your life. So this is, to sort of sum it up here, right? The two ways to develop a healthy mind require you to first heal your mind, reconcile, put together all these pieces that have been separated, and then it's to become who you're meant to be and to develop a will to drive in a direction. And I'm speaking specifically to men here, right? Women, there's definitely a lot of overlaps, especially with the reconciliation of the psyche. But in terms of the becoming aspect, for a man needs to become a leader. His path is taking on more responsibility. For a woman, it's greater surrender. It's letting go more and more of the need to control things. So you kind of have these different paths with men and women that all lead to the same thing, because when you surrender enough, you in some sense become an authority. And when you lead, you at a certain point, you're ending up surrendering to something higher than yourself. So it's always like the two are separate, but they're unified at the top. But the distortions try to have guys go these two directions, right? So a man has to become something. And to become something, you have to take on challenges, risks, responsibilities. I talk about all this stuff. I go through it in detail in the Dynamic Man Masterclass in Module 1, which we just released today. And this is, I'm not joking when I say I'm so proud of this course. It's almost 250 videos. It's 45 hours long, almost 45 hours long. It is a monster, absolute monster of content. And it's all structured to deal with different areas. And everything that we've been talking about here, we go into in depth how to break down, how to do all these things to heal and become a dynamic man in Module 1. And what I want to mention is for this weekend this is all in the description if you're watching on YouTube, but this weekend from today through Monday, the 17th, this is the time to buy, because you will get $150 off the masterclass. It will never be discounted again, ever. I didn't discount it when I went to prison. So I'm not going to discount. I never do discounts. I like to reward people who buy early. $150 off. And you also get a free call with me, which was valued at $500. So if you get the Dynamic Man Masterclass this weekend, you get those two bonuses. And I'm also going to be recording probably in the first quarter of 2026. I'm going to be recording this private video for the people who bought in the past, but also during this weekend. It's a forbidden intimacy deep dive. So I'm going to be going into sex big time. I'm talking about all this stuff with sex you're not supposed to say publicly. Okay, so talking about the differences in sex, both in terms of female behavior and experience before and after pregnancy in kids. So basically her behavior, but also like changes down there, what what actually shifts, what are some things that can happen, dealing with women's like fantasies. How do you play with that without going too far and like wading into the dark end of the pool, so to speak? And also going to be talking about different types of sexual intimacy, how to amplify it. I'm going to be giving like examples and case studies, and really it's just going to be, it's going to be sex, right? A lot of the stuff that you are not supposed to talk about. The course goes into a lot of things with sex, but even some of these topics I don't talk about in the course because they're not stuff I like to do publicly. So this is going to be like a private video. It's only going to be up for 3 days, but everybody will be notified like a million times to make sure you can watch it. But anyway, the point is that this is some of the stuff that we cover in the course. So if you've been following my stuff, this is a good time to get the course. It's a good time to get, it's never going to be a better time than now to get the course, basically. So the link's in the description below. I guys hope you enjoyed this short video. But really just to take it back to the content part of this idea of these two parts, the sort of feminine, unconditional love healing in this masculine, I'm going this direction, I'm going to become something. These two portions of it, this is how you actually fix your mind. It's how you fix your mind. And one of the things I see it so much with guys who they're having a problem moving forward because they're doing one or the other. They're not doing both. And I'd say in my experience, focusing on the healing first is usually better, but it's always back and forth. You heal a little bit, then you focus on developing the will, challenge it. It's always internal to external, because it's only by going external that you actually start to impact the healing you're doing. It's the external work that actually puts it's like, think of it like this. It's like you rearrange some pieces, you shift, you loosen some pieces, and the external pressure puts them in the correct place. So nothing locks in until you've challenged yourself with more responsibility or risk. But you have to make sure things are in the right place, or you won't have the energy to be able to actually accomplish those things. And the pressure will end up making you have a more fragile foundation. So eventually you're going to start to feel unable to move forward. Like a lot of like midlife crisis stuff has to do with the lack of healing. Like a lot of men, some men have really strong wills and they're able to push for, 40, 50 years sometimes. And then it hits them like a freight train. The lack of internal coherence in their psyche. So we do both. We work on both. And as I said, there's easily, I don't know the exact number of hours, but there's easily 8 hours of material. There's easily 8 hours of material in module 1 that goes into all of this. So guys, if you want to get it, now's the time to get it. The link's in the description below. I hope you will. No time like the present. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, we are going to be talking about escalation, okay? And the context of escalating interaction, because this is one of the big things. Like you see people, like there was this viral thread that came out that was totally retarded recently, talking about how to like deal with a dead bedroom situation. And you can just see there's no understanding of calibration or context. So we're going to be addressing this in interaction with a woman and how you're going to shift what you do depending on where you met her. So I'll see you guys there 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, maybe 9:15 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you soon.